yeah. The corner singer on the mic, yeah. To the new view, let's go. I might not be able to see you, but you can see me with your mind, baby. Even though you may have sight, you should know that I am blind, baby. So don't judge me, get to know me. Don't rush, just take it in slowly. I could do much more than you know. I can open your mind with my eyes closed. Eyes closed, mind open. Come into my world and let me change your view of me. Eyes closed, mind open. Come into my world and let me change your view of me.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Eyes Closed, Mind Open. I am your host, Hannah Kinsey, and we are going to have a great episode for you today. One that actually will be quite interesting to me. We're going to talk about how you might juggle kids, having kids as a blind person or a person with a visual impairment. I only have a four-legged furry creature as a child, so it will be interesting to me to know how my colleagues here have dealt with having children. I myself find it terrifying. So I'm going to ask them some interesting questions, but first I'm going to introduce them. We have Catherine back in the house with us. Say hi, Catherine.
Hi, Catherine.
I knew she was going to do that. Making jokes early. She'll be here all week. Next, we have Mark.
Hello, Hannah.
Good job, Mark.
What's my last name?
Mark Ivy.
Ivy. And if it makes you feel any better, I treat my daughter the exact same way I treated my four-legged furry creature. And you know what? If you don't, it kind of works. So anyways.
I knew it. And then next we have Lisa. Say hi, Lisa.
Hi.
All right. So I'm going to kick it off just by, I think it would be interesting to start with Mark, because he has had his visual impairment ever since his child was born, even before that, actually. And so I want to know what it was like kind of learning that you were going to have a kid, and how did you feel when you first heard that?
Let's just start from the beginning. So I have retinitis pigmentosa, and that's a hereditary eye disease that runs on my dad's side of the family, and it only affects the men. And so the females can be carriers, but they, for the history of our family tree, only men have been physically affected with retinitis pigmentosa. And those who don't know what that is, you can't see at night and your peripheral vision starts closing in. And so like currently I see like through paper towel rolls, like 8 degrees of peripheral vision compared to what should be close to 180 degrees. And then it gets, it gets worse over your lifespan. And so when my wife and I got married, we thought we were going to we had a plan like, let's have 3 kids before we're this or 2, and in the back of my head, the entire time it's almost like I felt guilty or scared. And my wife wasn't in the complete know at the time. Like she knew that I didn't see and that there's people in my family, but she didn't really know the science to it. And it's not that I was keeping it from her. It's just, we had, it's not like you talk about kids every day. And especially when you're dating, when you're in your early 20s. And so when we got married, it kind of dawned on me. I was like, man, if we have a kid and it's a boy, that's like a concern for me. And, we'd pray about it and stuff. And it's not like we were praying for a girl. Please, only girl. But, just praying for that whatever card we're dealt that, we can handle it. And, my dad has RP. My younger brother has RP. I have RP and we're making it. And so like me personally, I was like, oh, well, I mean, we're okay. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's a struggle, but everyone has their struggle. And in my head, it was like, we're going to make this work. But that's me in my shoes, not thinking about my wife. And so I can get into some of that later, but that's what I'll kind of touch on is navigating that path for my sighted spouse and some of the burden that she has taken on when it comes to having a child, and we did have a girl, Evelyn June. She's 6 years old. She is not blind yet. And
Jesus.
fingers crossed. And but yeah, anyways, but yeah, that's kind of my story on having a kiddo. Is there something I forgot, Hannah?
So were you, when you found out that you were having a kid, even after you found out that she was a girl, were you nervous in any way that you wouldn't, measure up, I guess? I mean, I know a lot of blind people feel like, they'll be the lesser parent, I guess is an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And the answer is, there was a few, like I had a few fears of, but nothing that really, like, you just don't know till it happens, right? Like, especially for my brain, I'm just always like, go, like whatever, we're going to make everything work. And so I remember when my wife, Alyssa Gale, was pregnant, that she had a, what do you call it when you get scheduled to have your baby? Induction. Yeah, induced. And that meant, there's a scheduled time that we get to go up there. So like I was like, hey, what a good deal that is. Because one of my first fears was like, what if we're just out doing something, right, and all of a sudden she goes into labor, and like, what am I just going to call the ambulance or something? Like, I can't drive her there, And so like that was a load off first and foremost. And then we brought Evelyn home, and things, she was born in 2018. And so, I mean, she's kind of classified as a COVID baby, I mean, she was young and it's not like she had preschool or anything or any activities before COVID. So like that was kind of in her early beginning. And it was almost like a false convenience, I guess might be a weird way to put it, because everyone's stuck at home. There's nothing going on. I was a great dad. I was a great dad when my daughter didn't have to go anywhere. And then she grew up, and she's in dance now. She goes to school. Luckily, my wife's a teacher, and they go to the same school. But there started being things to do outside of staying in our house. And so then you compile that onto anything that requires leaving the house. Dog, oh man, there's 2 scoops of dog food left. We need dog food. Wife's got to do it. Daughter's got dance after school. She's got it till, 6:30 or something. Well, now my wife's, 8-hour day turned into a, 13-hour day. And all of this stuff is happening while I just sit at home. And it started wearing on me and kind of getting, you talk about being a less than parent, Hannah. And that's something I still deal with, that my wife and I are trying to navigate as my daughter grows and enters the world, that it almost feels like sometimes it's a single parent deal, because I can't assist when it comes to my daughter physically leaving the home.
Right. I think this would be an interesting time to pull Catherine and Lisa into the conversation, since they had their kids before they lost their vision. So now, they have to, or had to deal with that as their kids were older. So I would be interested to know how you guys kind of handled things like that, and what your stories were like with, you losing your vision, and how you and your kids traverse that together. So Catherine, you can go, and then.
Okay. Well, so with me, I didn't start losing my vision until I had lost vision in my left eye in 2001. So I had my right eye all the way until mid 2020 is when I finally lost my vision completely. So my son
lost your vision in 2020?
Yes.
That's ironic. Anyways, sorry. Go ahead.
I know. I thought that was hilarious. So my oldest son had already graduated high school, but when he was getting ready to graduate high school and playing football, I had started to become low vision so bad that I was no longer able to drive. But he was old enough to drive and had a driving permit. So I would just, pray my way all the way to the school. And then, he would take over driving home because I was okay as long as it was light. Like as long as it was bright, I was good. But when it started to get dusk and darker, oh no, I didn't get behind the wheel. And then in 2017, I totally gave up driving. So it was 2 years before my oldest son graduated that I gave up driving. But, I luckily had people to take me around, and I still went to football games and practices and was still team mom and booster club president and went to my youngest son's ROTC stuff. But they were actually gave me more grace than I gave myself. I was harder on myself than my kids ever were. They still say I'm super mom. They still think I'm amazing and I do everything. And, so my kids were really good about it. Like my kids were more supportive and gave me more love than I gave myself. And all of their friends were like, they just thought it was cool. And they were just like, funny story. We went to see Avengers Endgame. And that was like right before I lost my eyesight. And I'm sitting in the movie theater and we're up on the screen and my oldest son is back in the back part of the theater with all his buddies from the football team. And I'm sitting there at the front of the theater and I have my iPhone out and I have my camera on and that's how I'm watching the movie.
Oh, my word.
And his friends were like, oh my gosh, somebody's videotaping the movie. We got to get a copy. And
you're pirating.
Yeah. So my oldest son, Kelvin, was like, no, dude, that's my mom. And they were like, no, Usher, that's not your mom. And he was like, yeah, that's my mom. And literally in the middle of the movie, he calls my cell phone to prove it right. And the phone goes down and they're like, whoa.
That's funny.
That's awesome. So, Lisa, did you have the same experience? What was it like?
No, mine was a little bit different and maybe a little more complicated. Mm-hmm. I lost my vision in 2022.
Okay.
So,
wait, 2022 or 2022?
As well.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, I was a substitute teacher that year for my daughter's school. Since I'm on disability, I was able to only work so many hours. So I figured that would be a good way to just kind of watch my hours and stuff like that, because you can only make so much money. But anyway, so right at the end of the year is when, and it came on very quickly. I mean, we're talking, I went to the eye doctor, I think on like April 18th, with the day before my birthday. And the last time I drove was May 6th. Wow. Because I could not see well enough to drive. And we're talking maybe like 2 blocks from the school to pick up my daughter. So, and I was not able to see my older daughter graduate. So I missed that. And I've missed, a lot of stuff with my younger daughter too, with her growing up. She's now in 8th grade. But sometimes I think it's kind of funny, some of the things I do, like my balance is way off and they will laugh about it. But after they make sure I'm okay, like if I fall or whatever, and they just think it's funny. I remember this one time we went to the mall and my younger daughter tends to helped me a little bit more than my older daughter. And we were walking through the mall and she wasn't paying attention. And this was right before I got my cane. So we were just walking and talking and we came up to these like 2 little steps in the mall and she forgot to tell me there were steps in front of me. Oh. And I didn't fall, but I mean, I missed the steps. So, I mean, that was a little funny thing. But like I said, my younger daughter, pays me more attention as far as helping me. And it's very hard on my girls. Me being a single mom for most of my younger daughter's life, she's 14 now. They're very dependent on me for a lot of things. They were in Girl Scouts all the way from when my older daughter, who's now 20, from when she was like in the kindergarten. So, I mean, all the way through school. And they're just used to me being very involved in everything and taking them everywhere and doing stuff. And now when I lost my vision, I couldn't, because I couldn't drive. I couldn't do all the things that I usually did. And it took them, at least my older daughter, it took her quite a while. In fact, she still sometimes doesn't do it, but to kind of realize that I really can't see, she kind of acts sometimes like nothing's ever changed. So,
how's your 14-year-old get around now?
My 14-year-old, she takes Uber a lot,
Yeah.
Uber or Lyft. Yeah. Right now she's also, I found a company that will pick her up from school. It's more of a private company. The daughter-father team, the father is actually blind, and they're starting services for the blind. They take me to work and pick me up from work, and they've started taking a couple of other people for my job as well.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So Evelyn and George pick me up every morning, and now they've started picking up 3 other people, and they also pick up Risha, who works at our front desk at our manufacturing building.
Did you say they pick up your daughter too?
Yeah, they will.
I bet that's nice.
Yes.
How did you feel about putting your kid in an Uber for the first time?
I was a little scared. I mean, you never know with something like that car service, whether to take an Uber or a Lyft, and it was a little nerve-wracking, even though it would only be like a mile drive back and forth from school to home.
Mhm.
I mean, but even as an adult, I am very nervous about taking Ubers.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten really good at it because that's my transportation. But this, it's like I said, a father-daughter team who they're trying to start up their own business, driving for the blind. Pretty much, they cater a lot to the blind. But they will also do stuff outside of work and school too.
Yeah. So that's really helped you.
That's really helped me a lot. But yeah, my daughter, she, before that, even when it's just us, we do a lot of the Ubers, and she's gotten really good at the app, and because that's our way around transportation. My older daughter, thank goodness, she just started to drive before I lost my vision, so I was able to depend on her. But she's now moved out of my house, so I don't have her inside of my house anymore. Right. She still says, she'll help me, but we'll see. We'll see how that works.
But she's also learning how to now, go into adulthood and learn how to do that
right.
on her own. So she has, it's hard. I feel like it's hard to juggle that maybe sometimes. It's hard to see past yourself when you're a young adult, I feel like sometimes.
Well, and we've always kind of not made fun of her, but she's a 20-year-old that acts like a 2-year-old.
I got you.
So, I really can't. I mean, I do try to not depend on her, but I try to ask her for favors. I don't always depend on her because she's in that mode of where, she's going to do for her, which is fine. I mean, I understand she's a young adult and so I try to let her go be her own person because she's got to learn how to be an adult sometime. My 14-year-old is more of an adult than my 20-year-old sometimes. So, I mean, that's just the way my household goes.
Gonna love listening to this.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Kiss goodbye any ride you had planned there.
I know.
Well,
Right?
it's to the point, Lisa made about, not being able to see her daughters graduate. I was such low vision when my oldest son graduated that I couldn't see the stage. I had to use, like I said, my phone to zoom and to see. And then by the time my youngest son graduated in the height of COVID, they didn't have graduation. My poor youngest son didn't get to walk. He had a drive-through graduation. Like we drove through the school parking lot
Wow.
and got his diploma that way. But he did get to wear his cap and gown, and I did get those pictures. But, the only way I could see those pictures is, I zoomed in really close and then I was able to use a magnifier sheet and put it over my phone, and then I could see it or look through my digital camera. But, I know the feeling of not being able to see. It's heartbreaking as a parent.
I mean,
on those milestones.
I went through all those years of having her go to school and hoping she graduated. And when she did, I missed her prom. I missed her graduation. I missed her whole senior year doing stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of sad. And I'm going to miss my younger daughter as well, but we've still got 4 more years for that. But yeah, it's a little bit hard on me as well.
Yeah.
Just not being able to see all those milestones. So
I pose this question to any of you. Did you ever feel like your kids like try to get away with stuff?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely, yeah. I mean, I have a little bit of sight, so I'm not completely blind. So like I can see your shape, Hannah.
Right.
Like I can't see you clearly. I always explain it like looking through a foggy glass.
Yeah.
Like past you though, I really can't see very much. It kind of all blends. But my daughters I'll be sitting in my bedroom, and my daughters will come in and they'll take stuff out of my bedroom thinking I'm not paying attention to
Oh, my
them
word.
or trying to take some of my clothes or whatever. But I'm like, hello, I can see you just a little bit. So I know you're doing something.
Yeah. You're up to something.
You're not gonna get away with it.
Mhm.
Dude,
You
my
know?
6-year-old's been picking off my plate.
Ah.
Like I was eating some chicken nuggets with her the other night, and I'm sitting there, and I know I got like 3 or 4 left, and next thing I know, I'm like, what? And I'll hear, and I'm like, Evelyn June. And then she's been, especially with the holidays, she just now like, sorry if I'm a bad parent for introducing her to Home Alone, but whatever. But she loves Home Alone, and boy does she love Marvin Harry. And she loves Marvin Harry more than Kevin.
Kevin, yeah.
But she had done, like, right after that movie, she started like laying crap out around that, like doing little booby traps.
My
And,
word.
oh my Lord. I about broke my toe off on one of her and she's she'll go yes, just like Kevin does when he gets like,
That is
you know,
awesome.
and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And so
I've got to meet your daughter.
Yeah,
She's amazing.
it's also innocent and stuff right now, but what does make me and I want to keep making sure this is a thing, because you know how kids are in public schools, but she's in a class with a kid with one arm. And then there's another, like my wife has a kid who's kind of a troublemaker, and to the point where not cute, to where it's like even a kindergartner probably doesn't want to play with him. And I have been told by Evelyn's teacher before that she'll pay attention and kind of show empathy and kindness to those types of situations, and that fills my heart with joy.
Oh yeah.
And so I mean she's 6 going on. So her attitude sometimes is like, I'm like, who are you? And so I hope that she keeps that. And like I said, we'll keep instilling that in her. But that's been one kind of positive thing that has come, because, if people talk about their dads or something, and like she says, my dad's blind, like 6-year-olds don't understand
Right.
like what that means or anything. And
Yeah.
in that kindergarten class, there's no other low vision or blind kiddos that, well, there might be low vision. You all know how that works. Sometimes you don't know, but no one like with a cane or a guide dog. And she's seen my brother's guide dog, and she's seen my wife drive my dad, her grandparent. So like, that has transferred over into her, having a big heart for other situations.
Empathy. Mm-hmm.
But then some days she'll say like, you'll never drive, Dada. You're blind forever.
Or your eyeballs are stupid.
Your eyeballs are stupid. Don't tell me that.
Yes.
Yeah, she called my eyeballs stupid one time.
But
I tried to smack her and I
she's
missed.
6 years old.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would assume that from a 6-year-old, but my girls are my oldest one's about to be 21 this month, and my youngest one is 14. So,
Well, Lisa, and I mean, Catherine, I don't know if you had a spouse. I don't know exactly
No.
your history, but
No, so the entire time that I've been blind, yes, I have had a spouse.
yeah.
But I was a single mom for a long time in my kid's life. And, their dad was minimally there. He, every once in a while would pop in and say hello. And so, it was like Lisa, doing everything on my own. And so I'm just so blessed that it did hit me later on in their life that I didn't have to miss out on as much. Now, I will tell you the saddest part I have is my boys, they have half siblings. They have older sisters and an older brother, and they have a younger brother. So, that's their sisters and their brothers to us. That's not their half. That's their That's their brothers and sisters. So their sister that's right above my oldest son, she has a little girl. And ever since that baby's been born, that's my grandbaby. That little baby came to my house, and I didn't want to push anything on her because I love her like she's my own. And I was babysitting her, and, I was like, you can call me, she can call me Miss Cat or whatever. And she's like, no, Nana. And I was like, okay. She was like, you're my Nana. And I was like, okay, if that's what you want to call me. And that just warms my heart. Now, I remember seeing her face when she was little, but now she's going to be 10 next month. And I mean,
that scares me, not being able to see my girl.
Yeah. I mean, and, not being able to see that. And then when my boys do get married and decide to have children, I will never get to see my grandchildren. And that breaks my heart.
I hope that where I was going with that is just like sometimes I take a step back, and I know everyone's dealing with their stuff, and like, it's like, yes, my stuff's serious too, but like, Lisa, that stuff's crazy. Like, you're doing that. First off, I didn't know how fresh it was. You too, Catherine. I didn't know y'all were driving, 3-4 years ago. Right. But it's expensive to be blind. It's expensive to have kids.
Oh, yeah.
It's expensive not to drive. Yeah. Everyone's like, you think driving's expensive? Try not driving.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And so I, power to you, Mom. For real. Like, that stuff's crazy.
Yeah.
You too. I mean, I can't imagine, and I'm blessed to as much like when I start getting down on myself and feel, because especially for my daughter, but my wife, like, that's a whole nother conversation because, she'll as great as she is, like, she'll have bad days to where I couldn't imagine no matter what, she has to do it.
Yeah. Right.
And so it's just, we're going through it right now for sure. And, we'll be okay. But it's definitely a thing in my household right now that we're trying to navigate as my daughter has just now started,
having extracurriculars and going to school.
Right.
But Mark, for you and your wife, I'm just going to encourage you, one, to pray about it and to give each other grace. And there's things you can balance it out. Yes, you can't do all the things you want to do outside of the house. There's a lot you can do inside the house to help her.
You're cooking dinner.
I'm just saying. I mean, you can ask my husband. He'll be glad to talk to you. There's times he comes home, his clothes are done, they're hung up, they're put away, his uniforms are washed, dried, put away, dinner's already been cooked. So there's things you can do.
100%. And
that might help her with her stress of her day. Or
helps me too, though.
Yeah.
Because then you're feeling like I'm feeling
accomplished. You've helped her and you've taken some of that burden off of her back.
Yeah. Like I got bath time, I got bedtime, and that sounds simple, but Evelyn June is a wild one.
Yeah, but see that, do you know how much that means not only to her, but to Evelyn June, to your daughter, just to get daddy to tuck her in at night and bathe her and, help her with bath time. And I don't know, I guess because I was such a daddy's girl, I loved when my dad would read to me. And I think that's where I get a lot of my love for cars and stuff, because my dad would talk about cars and mechanics and stuff like that. And I'd be under the hood of a car with him working on a car engine or whatever. But that's the best memory of my childhood, is spending time with my dad.
Yeah. I mean, my daughter's so go that my favorite times with her, of course, I love when she's crazy lady and we're doing all the stuff. But when she starts yawning and like, that's when she starts really talking to me, like telling me about her day, or the last couple of nights we've just been playing the candy game where you you try to name as many candies as you can. So I'm just, Sour Patch Kids, she'll be Twizzler, keep going. And then last night she was like, Hershey Kiss. I was like, oh man, she fell asleep during Hershey Kisses.
That's awesome.
You know who that reminds me of?
No.
That reminds me of your niece. Sylvia is such a little wildie. I love her to pieces.
That's crazy because I am her father. No, I'm just kidding.
You are. You are. I mean, she gets all her wildness and monkeyness from you.
Don't sigh at me.
That is not what he was.
It's hard enough answering your questions since you're a host, which I don't know who made that call, but Don't you sigh it,
Shout out to Lauren Branch, CEO of New Fuel.
man.
She said she was not going to have Mark running 2 podcasts. Ooh.
Yeah, she heard a couple of ours and she's like, yeah, maybe not.
Maybe he might not be the best host for this one.
So I have one more question for everybody before we close out. And that would be, what advice would you give someone who has recently been in your shoes, who might be expecting a child and has a visual impairment, or who lost their vision and has kids? What would y'all say to someone like that? How would you?
Well, I got a real quick
Good
one.
luck.
Yes.
Good luck.
Oh, nice.
Mine's pretty quick, which
Mhm.
Captain kind of hit on it and encouraged it, which is you've accepted what you can do, right? I'm not driving, I'm not able to take her to soccer practice. I'm not able to play catch with her, like whatever. Make a list of things you can do, and it helps. It helps, and especially if you have a sighted spouse, that like there's just some balance going on, like some type of normalcy. But make a list on things you can do with your daughter and maximize the time you have her, like whether it's playing outside, whatever it is, so that it just helps. I mean, I know that's something just like little or whatever, but it's so easy just to sit on the couch and not do it, and then you get into bad habits. And so just play with dolls. I don't care if you can see the Barbie or not. Your daughter doesn't care. She just wants to play, right? Yeah. And then you maybe it's not playing Barbies. Maybe it's playing, the beat up game. Where like we have so many little games that we play. You know what I mean? Like, I could go on forever on the games we've made up, but you have to. And you'll find that the joy it brings your heart is the same thing as what the other side might be feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try to take time with my daughter and just spend time with her. Like Friday, there was no school because of the snow. We did a mommy Jamie day is what we call it. She finished all her work for the day, and we took an Uber and we went and got our nails done.
Oh.
And then after that, we went to dinner together, just the 2 of us. So just spending time together.
Yeah, I can't wait till my daughter gets old enough to ride. I mean, no one's sending a 6-year-old in an Uber. But when she gets old enough to she's a few years out from being like, hey, Evelyn, me and you, girl, let's jump in an Uber and go to Frontier City or, whatever. Let's go to the movies, because in a couple of years, she's going to be able to navigate those public spaces good enough to where she can help me get around too. Right. And so I am looking forward to that. I should have mentioned that, but thank you for reminding me.
I think another thing is give yourself some grace, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Because if you know someone that's in your shoes that has gone through it before you did, ask them, ask their advice. I mean, I was always afraid to talk to people about what was going on with my eyesight. And like I said, I was the toughest person on myself. But ever since I came to New View a year ago, I've learned to give myself a lot of grace. And I've learned that it's okay when I know there's something I need help with. It's okay to ask for that help. Even with your kids, it's okay to say, I know that I can't do this by myself. But there's a lot of friends that I have back home, and some friends here that I depend on to take me around places, or, take my son. And, so it's okay to ask the ones you love and the ones you call friends and family, or family that's friends, because not all family is blood. So, I mean, there's a lot of people here that I consider my family, and it's okay. Just give yourself some grace and know there's a reason for the journey you're on.
That's good stuff.
Yep.
That's good stuff. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. I know that I have. I learned some things, but they probably wouldn't pertain to my 4-legged furry creature.
Hey, you should try it.
Hey, I have a 4-legged furry baby.
I put my daughter in a cage before, so
stop
left her
it.
there all day.
Well, that's because you're a monkey.
She's cage trained.
She's crate
Crate
trained.
trained. Yeah, crate trained.
She's crate trained.
Oh, goodness. And with that, we will bid you good night. We can't wait to see you next time. So with that, I thank you for listening, and we're out.
Peace.
This podcast is brought to you by Possibilities, Inc. Thank you for listening.
And let me change your view of me.